Special meeting of North Smithfield Town Council, November 4, 2019 is called to order at 6:50 p.m. First item is the prayer and pledge. Madam Clerk.
Lord, assist with thy Holy Spirit of counsel all of those who are serving positions of authority and responsibility. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bartoli? Here. Mrs. O'Hara? Here. Mr. O'Dea?
Here.
Mr. Walensky?
Present.
Mr. Batman?
Here. Next item is open forum pursuant to Public Law 42-46-6D. With a maximum of 15 minutes, and as usual now, it is a 3-minute time limit. First person on the list is Mr. Clifford.
How many people are on the list, Paul? How many people are on the list?
You.
So that means I have 3 minutes or 15?
3 minutes.
So even if
Someone else that want to speak from the audience.
could we find out first instead of breaking up the 3
No,
minutes?
it's 3 minutes of speaking. That's how we set the rules. 15 minutes with 3 minutes per speaker.
Mr. President, I'm sorry, we set the rule or you set the rule? Let's make this clear.
I set the rule.
You set the rule, okay. I'd make a motion right now to allow Mr. Clifford, if no one else wishes to speak, to give him 6 minutes. That's a motion. We got a second?
Second. Motion and a second.
Call the vote.
Any other discussion?
Call the vote, Mr. President.
Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mrs. Bartoli? Yes. Mrs. O'Hara? Yes. Mr. O'Dea?
Yes.
Mr. Walensky?
Yes.
Mr. Batman?
No. You have 6 minutes, Mike.
Thank you. I was at the meeting where the antenna quote was discussed by the MDRTF, and I'm puzzled by what's the wording on this agenda item. So
Did you hear him?
if there's any...
No, Mike, I'm sorry. Mike, I believe the microphone's not on.
I'll skip right to the chase then and forget the smaller details since I've got the 6 minutes. I'd like to remind you of a few things that have occurred at the council meetings since 2017 with regard to the Kendall Dean building project. In the summer of 2017, Mr. Halloran asked if there was a commitment from the school department, the new school committee, to come into the Kendall Dean building. And he asked that question of you, Mr. Batman, and you said, yes, we have a commitment. In light of the fact that it was announced at the last meeting that the school department will not be coming into that building, I'm asking these questions this evening and leading up to the questions I'll be asking. In the winter of 2018, Mr. Sakosha, the architect hired by the MDRTF, showed a set of plans that included most, but not all, of the school department offices going into Kendall Dean. He acknowledged at that meeting, when I questioned him, that they never attempted to accommodate all school department offices at Kendall Dean. In the summer of 2018, the new plans were presented, and there were only 5 people going into the Kendall Dean building in an office space that dealt with bookkeeping and payroll. And you were asked several times, Mr. Vadri, to be very explicit. Was there a commitment that those 5 people would be moving into the school department? And you kept answering, there are 5 people in the business office. And we kept saying, are they moving into the building? And you said, yes, they are moving into the building. So, in light of those scenarios and the difference that we are at now, where they are not going into that building, which I have been saying since day one when you started slandering the PBIC with false accusations and charges, that this was nothing but a ruse to get your control over that building and make sure it just included accommodations for the town and not the school department. I've been quoted in the paper. I wrote in an editorial in 2017. I've been chastised for being somebody who sees ghosts. Well, I didn't see any ghosts because what I predicted in 2017 has happened. So with all that said, I'd like to know, since I go to most of the meetings of the MDRTF, or have been since this got questionable, and I read all of the minutes, I see no indication in the minutes where the architect was ever authorized to reduce the required space to include all school department personnel at the Kendall Dean building. So I'd like to know, at what meeting did your committee take that action to authorize the school department to change the scope of work that was voted on by the voters of this town and authorized? Because I don't see that in any minutes. You know the date of that meeting, Mr. Vadney? Okay, at what meeting did you authorize the architect, or the committee, by you, I mean the MBRTF, authorize the architect to reduce the space to accommodate only 5 people? Because I see nothing in the minutes. I attended most of the minute meetings in that interim period between the time Mr. Sakosha was hired and the time that the new plan was submitted that only included space for 5 individuals. And I saw nothing in those minutes or heard anything at those meetings. I didn't go to all of them, so maybe there's one I missed. But I see nothing in the minutes, and I see nothing on any agenda item describing that you would be taking an action to reduce the space allocated to the school committee. So do you know at what meeting that you took that action and authorized the architect to do those renderings differently?
No, I didn't.
Okay. At what meeting did you discuss the opinion of the bond council that it was the terms of the bond council, the terms of the bond would be not impacted since the bond itself, the question on the ballot, called for the consolidation of all school department and town offices in one building. And you said at one meeting that having no school department people in the building, because you built those 2 rooms for the school department with 5 employees, which obviously aren't going to be used, that was still in compliance with the bond. And I don't understand how you are going to achieve the bond goal, which was to improve on efficiencies by having shared services when you're not having anybody in the building. So I'd like to see the letter from bond council that states you haven't violated the terms of the bond agreement. And I'd like to know at what meeting did your board discuss that? And did you believe, at what point did you believe you had the legal authority to change what was voted in by the people of this town? Do you know what meeting you discussed the bond council's opinion?
No, I don't. But if you send me all of these questions, Mr. Clifford, I will try to get all the answers for you.
Yeah, I would like, who has the legal opinion from the bond council regarding that this bond is not in violation of the terms of the language of the voters?
Who has that opinion?
Who has that opinion?
I probably have a copy of it.
Okay, I'd like a copy of that too, please, if you could.
Like I just said, if you put all this in writing, I will see what I have, and I will get you what I have.
Mr. Clifford, if I may, Mr. President, I
All
would
due respect,
support.
all due respect, he has 6 minutes. Let him have his 6 minutes and then we can discuss.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to interrupt them to go to welfare.
All right, Mr. President, thank you.
I just want to read to you what the bond question was that the voters voted on. And I've been on this like a mad dog because I voted for this bond. And I only voted for this bond because you were going to take a 17,000 square foot building and utilize it with 2 town departments, not just a handful of employees from the municipal side. I never would have voted it if this was going to happen. So this is what it was. Authorizes the town of North Smithfield to issue $5.2 million in bonds and notes to finance the repair of the Kendall Dean Building, the Memorial Hall, and municipal annex in order to consolidate municipal and school administration. And it goes on to say, to achieve efficiencies in consolidation of municipal and school administration functions in accordance with a plan adopted by the town council. That plan clearly delineated all school department personnel would be housed at the Kendall Dean Building with the municipal offices. The council approved that plan the night that they approved the bond. So I want to know from legal counsel, from the bond council, how that complies with the bond, the language in the bond policy. And I'm not at all surprised that this is the outcome. I was shocked when it was said last week or 2 weeks ago at the meeting that the school department would not be going into that building because nobody reacted. And I thought, well, it's never been discussed at a town council meeting. It's never been in the paper. It's never been in any minutes of the MBRTF. Why isn't anybody shocked at this? And I think most of you, every time I've been here, all throughout the last 2 years, saying they're building a building that isn't going to house the school, there's been no questions. And everybody just looks blindly. And I feel that if this, in fact, ends up being the case, many people were complicit in this little act of undermining the will of the people. I've never had a vote stolen from me, but I know what it feels like now. And those who didn't vote for this in the first place may be happy that you didn't do what the voters called for. But the next time you choose to undermine a vote of the people, and it was something that they supported, they might feel quite differently about you having done what you've done. If I have time left, I'll talk about the policy on the budget. If somebody's timing me, let me know if I've got the time left. You have the policy on the solar revenue going into a fund account, and I've said repeatedly that I'd like to see the letter from the town auditor saying that that's appropriate, because I don't understand how you can take it out of the tax levy. I watched the video of the meeting that I left earlier 2 weeks ago. I left early because I wasn't feeling well, and I did watch the video, and I did hear that the auditor has said you can't do that. There are other reasons why you shouldn't be doing that as well, but since we've never gone into them, I'm just going to say, fair warning, you shouldn't be doing that at all. Whether the whole intent was to remove it from the tax levy, and even if you don't do that, you still should not be taking that money.
Mr. Clifford, I think you're laboring under the false pretense that you don't have enough time to speak. Please slow down.
Okay.
Okay? Because what you have to say is pertinent to this council agenda meeting. Do you mind repeating that, Mike? Sorry.
Sure. The policy that you're having the second reading on tonight regarding putting the money from the solar revenue into a fund account, even if you still go ahead doing that, even though it doesn't take it out of the tax levy, which was the whole purpose of promoting that, even if it doesn't take it out, you should not be doing that. It has other ramifications from an accounting standpoint and other ramifications from a budgeting standpoint. And I'm not going to delineate them all here now, but if you open it up, open the floor later when we have that discussion, if in fact you're leaning towards still approving that, I'll be happy to share them. With regard to the antenna, I was at that meeting when the members of the committee were discussing that the proposal for the antenna came in as low as it did. And everybody was high-fiving themselves on what a great deal we were getting because it was so cheap and came in way under the estimate. And I had been at the PBIC meetings when they discussed the antenna, and it was supposed to cost a great deal more than the number that was quoted that evening. And I thought to myself, they had to bid for had gone out to bid for an antenna that didn't meet the specs to fulfill the EMA requirements. Because there's no way it could have dropped from what the previous committee had gotten a quote and an estimate on a year and a half earlier to what everybody seemed elated over. So I'm really wondering, was the wrong antenna ordered, and is that what this change order is about? Or how does this, did you not get a quote on an antenna that met the requirements that would be needed by the EMA? That's what I'm concerned about.
If you've been following everything, Mr. Clifford, then you know that the quote that we got for that antenna came from Mr. Branconia of the EMA. So we did meet the request. And this change order has nothing to do with the task force. And we'll address that as part of the body of the meeting.
And that brings me to my second point. I've never been in a meeting where the change order, this particular change order, has been discussed by the RTF. So why are you approving the change order that didn't come before the RTF, and why didn't it come before the RTF?
You'll hear that in the body of the meeting.
Thank you.
Mr. Zwolenski.
Totally, I was kind of enthralled with what Mr. Clifford had to say. Mr. President, you are the president. You run these meetings. I really would like to see more following from the people. 3 minutes, if there's nobody waiting. I've been in meetings where we went to 11:30 at night because we listened to the people. I'm so sorry, Mr. President, but I want to hear what the people have to say. Call me. Whatever you want to call me. There's a gentleman standing up here. I'm sorry, sir. Did you sign up to speak?
I forgot to sign up. I came in late.
They don't need to sign up, though, Mr. Zwolenski. That's my point. That was my point originally. If you just bear with me, I'll give you the 5 minutes that's left. If you want to speak, I'll give you that 5 minutes. If you just
That's
bear
the
with me.
problem. Why 5 minutes?
Because that's what
President?
Mr. Zwolenski, this is what I inherited when I joined the council, that it's a 15
You can
minute
change it, Mr.
maximum.
President.
No, I believe that 15 minutes is fine.
I don't. If people are waiting to speak, trust me, I want to hear what they have to say. Because guess what? I read stuff and I think I've got the handle on it. I may not have, Mr. President. I want to...
Mr. Zwolenski, then I'll tell you what, the next meeting, Madam Clerk, the next meeting, put on Town Council Rules of Order. We will revise all of our rules of order to address this issue.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that.
State your name and your address, please.
Dennis Filato, Providence Pike, North Smithfield. Just a quick question. I did end up reading that article in the Valley Breeze. I was a little disheartened to see what's going on over here. Now, Mr. Vadnais, if I recall, you stated at a podium, when the podium was where Mr. Johnson was over there, and you turned around and said that you knew nothing about construction. John Beauregard said the same thing when he was the past president, seated where you are. So my question to you right now, and I'd like an answer, and I think a lot of people in this room would like an answer. Who in this town is qualified to oversee this project that's going on at Kendall Dean? And if you turn around and tell me that it's the architect, I'm going to tell you right now, you're wrong to turn around and have that happen. It's got to be somebody from the outside making sure that things are getting done correctly, because if things would have gotten done, the phone lines or the electrical line drops would never have occurred, right? The water, the problem with the elevator shaft, all right, them hitting a sewer pipe over there, if they would have done test pits, if the architect would have done test pits along that property, he would not have had that. There would not have been delays. Now, I can understand damaged goods coming in and everything else, but as soon as a contract was signed, I know, I work for a very large firm in the Worcester area right now, and I'm going to tell you something. You start a job, as soon as that contract is signed, I got to tell you something. I'm on the telephone ordering or buying out this job. Let it be from Harvey Industries, let it be from Camco, wherever. The whole bottom line of it is, we're never short. Now it's like, now you got to wait for another product to come in because it was damaged? I don't buy it. So can you tell me who from within this town is overseeing the work that's being done at Kendall Dean on a daily basis?
Kosher Associates.
Well, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you're going to entrust the fate of this town into the architect who did this, don't you see that he's only in it for the almighty dollar? He said it right when he was over here. They said there'd be no change orders. How many change orders have there been thus far? There's been quite a few. All right, as far as these electrical drops, now, let's face it, the school department doesn't want to end up going over there. So what are you going to end up having? 12 people over there? You got all these drops. What are you going to do with the empty building, the old administration building? It's not going to be used for anything. You're going to have an empty building over here at Bushy School. You don't have any money to turn around and do the renovations over there for the police department. Whereas, if perhaps maybe if this project would have been overseen by somebody, but if you would have turned around, I'll tell you right now, the town is wrong to turn around and you should be holding back all monies against Secocia because of the fact that if you're allowing him to oversee the project, wrong move. Wrong decision. That's all I gotta say.
Anyone else like to speak? Nobody?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Next item, North Smithfield Town Council sitting as Board of License Commissioners. Peddler's License, New England Novelty, 60 Eddie Dowling Highway and 1435 Victory Highway. Is there someone here to speak on that?
Good evening. My name is Ed McMahon. I'm coming around.
Can you speak up, please?
Can you hold the mic? Because we can't hear you. Sorry. I'm getting old, I don't hear so well.
Good evening. My name is Ed McMahon. I'm from Cumberland, Rhode Island. I'm here representing New England Novelty. If there was any questions on the licenses, I can answer.
Probably in my packet somewhere in this mess, and I must apologize if you got to take it somehow.
It's not the name we have on the license.
You are who?
Ed McMahon.
Ed
Probably
McMahon?
Keith's name. Keith Lambert, yeah.
So, for the record, you're not Keith Lambert?
No.
Okay, you said that earlier. So forgive me, it's application from 9 to 6 or 7 p.m. depending on the year, correct?
Right.
Can you give us a brief discussion what your license appeal as well?
It's the one on, was it 6080 Downing Highway, that one is usually the flower stands that we have. And then the newest one's on 1435 Victory Highway. That's going to be for patriotic gear such as flags, shirts, things like that.
Any other questions?
Sorry, Mr. President, I'm not following what the application is about. Forgive me, sir. You're applying for a license to do business in the town of North Smithfield.
Right.
And I am not, thank you.
Is it stop?
Yeah. So,
This question to the solicitor. The name of the applicant is Keith Lambert. Just looking for this. Obviously, this is not Keith Lambert that's here. Can you speak for Mr. Lambert in this case?
Well, the answer is you can't speak for Mr. Lambert. Mr. Lambert's application in front of you. I guess if he's the employee of New England Novel Tree, Mr. Lambert can't be here today. Listen to him, but Mr. Lambert's application is in front of you. But you could act on his application without him being in front of you, as long as you feel that the application meets the requirements of the ordinance. And this particular application, as I recall, I put on this with the board, set an application to operate on private property. The ordinance requires permission of the owner, which is in the application. And then all the other aspects of your peddler's license